In your headlines, the Minister of Health is keeping a keen eye on the COVID situation in the country. Honorable Kyle Knowles says that he is committed to resolving the long-standing issue at the dump. And the leader of the opposition says to move forward with caution and purpose. From the PTV Broadcasting Headquarters in Providencial is your number one source for news. I'm Erica Pinales, delivering the latest from across the country this Tuesday, January 25th, 2022, right to your door. Newswatch starts now. The Ministry of Health is keeping a keen eye on the COVID situation in the country. Here's what he had to say recently about the changing numbers and the discovery of the new variant.
Residents are responsible for 75% of the new COVID-19 cases. This is according to the Minister of Health, the Honorable Jamel Robinson, during a health update on Thursday. Robinson spoke primarily to decisions taken in Cabinet on January 20th. Among those approved decisions was an extension of the existing COVID-19 measures and protocols, which came into effect on Monday and will remain in place until February 28.
Entry to churches or religious places of worship be limited to 50% of their approved capacity only. Weddings and funerals limited to 50% of their approved capacity only. Entry to restaurants, bars, nightclubs, and discotheques will only be allowed by patrons aged 16 or over who are fully vaccinated or have proof of a negative COVID-19 test within 24 hours. Social gatherings will only be allowed for patrons aged 16 or above who are fully vaccinated or have proof of a negative COVID-19 test within 24 hours. Residents are encouraged to use e-certificates for entry to establishments and must be presented along with a valid ID. All businesses are responsible for verifying the required documents and must be available to present logbooks with same for inspection by the compliance team. Business owners are subject to fines for failure to comply.
There are exemptions for unvaccinated minors below the age of 16 from these requirements once they are accompanied by an adult. The minister stressed that any symptomatic persons should remain at home unless they are going to get tested.
The only exceptions are visitors or tourists residing at a resort, attending bars or restaurants on site. Cabinet approved amendments to Arrival Passenger Travel Clearance Health Regulations 2020, which will come into effect from 5 a.m. on Friday, the 28th January, and remain in place until the 28th February 2022. Visitors and unvaccinated residents aged 2 and above returning to the TCI must present a negative PCR or antigen test within 3 days of travel. Fully vaccinated residents returning to the TCI are required to be tested within 2 days of arrival through the TCIG testing sites at no cost. Unvaccinated minors of fully vaccinated residents are recommended to be tested within 2 days of arrival.
Meanwhile, Cabinet has also approved a 6-month extension of the Cuban medical team's time in the TCI so as to assist the country with its COVID-19 response. For PTV News Watch, I am Delana Alves.
The UK is lifting their COVID restrictions, and leader of the opposition, Honorable Edwin Astwood, says to move forward with caution and purpose. We bring you the latest. Leader of the opposition, Honorable Edwin Astwood, has been in the forefront sharing with the public observations that he's made from what occurs in our islands to what happens globally and washes up on our shores. A press release from Honorable Astwood reads, on January 19, 2022, we had heard and seen the announcements by the United Kingdom's Prime Minister Boris Johnson on the lifting of their COVID-19 restrictions and protocols. Many of the opposition members of their parliament questioned whether the announcement was about protecting the British people or was it all about the Prime Minister protecting his job from the calls for him to resign. Is this announcement premature, and is it based on current scientific data, and will the overseas territories like the Turks and Caicos follow? As Spain and the UK and other major nations around the globe are considering writing COVID-19 off as a flu, people around the world and in the Turks and Caicos especially all wonder the same thing. Where does this leave us? The leader of the opposition informs, quote, "The global pandemic is not over, and our numbers are higher than it has ever been. Therefore, I caution the government of the Turks and Caicos not to blindly follow the UK's Prime Minister and fully lift all of the country's COVID-19 mitigating measures at once. Do not give in to any pressure," end quote. Honorable Astwood continued, quote, "I encourage the Premier and his government to remain vigilant, being attenuative to the ebbs and flows in new positive cases and increase in deaths. The government should examine our local COVID-19 situations and the characteristics of the spread of the existing strains in our communities. Make the necessary provisions and allocations for determining the true prevalence of the illness in each island, putting in systems for capturing an accurate number of positive individuals in communities, and base all decisions on local information in conjunction with gathered scientific evidence while taking into consideration the capabilities, capacities, and resources of our healthcare system. Moving forward with caution and purpose is necessary, not throwing caution to the wind and ignoring the local picture," end quote. It's time for a quick break. More News Watch when we return.
This is a reminder that all PTV service accounts are due on the first day of each month. Accounts should be brought up to date by the 28th of the month to avoid disruption in service. Payments may be made on our office at Stubbs Diamond Plaza, Providenciales, Mides Plaza, North Caicos, and Airport Road in South Caicos. Payments may also be made online using Scotiabank, CIBC First Caribbean Bank, and Royal Bank of Canada. Please allow 3 business days for online payments to be processed. We thank you for your cooperation.
Welcome back to Newswatch. In this sit-down with Honorable Jamel Robinson, the minister explains government's decision to keep the country's gateways open in spite of the biggest outbreak that the TCI has experienced to date. Here's more.
When the country locked down, closing its borders back in 2020 at the rise of the deadly coronavirus pandemic, it seemed like a decision that needed limited consultation, as it was the mandate of every nation in response to the rapid spread of the virus. Well, weeks ago, at the rise of the country's highest outbreak and highest death rate in the shortest time frame, government chose to keep the country open for business. And here's why.
From a medical standpoint, the best thing might have been, okay, well, let's close the borders, shut the country down, no movement for 3 weeks, which would have allowed the current viral load to kind of just run through our society. We wouldn't eliminate it again, but it would significantly minimize it. So essentially, we would put the whole country on quarantine for 3 weeks. And then what? We open the borders back up, and the virus comes back in through the borders, as it does each and every time.
Minister of Health Honorable Jamel Robinson says, like he has many times in the past, it's all about balancing risks, lives, and livelihoods.
So if we want to have an economy, right, we have to balance how do we, again, protect our citizens from this virus that we have 2 years more knowledge and more experience with dealing with, as well as how do we protect their livelihoods, their ability to put food on their table, their ability not to have to look to the government to sustain them or support them. And again, we are a small country, so there's no way we could consistently basically give to persons without being in a position to generate, because the majority of our economy is based on tourism. So if there's no tourists, how are we going to generate money? How is the stores going to be full with groceries? How is the gas stations gonna move fuel if the country doesn't have money to grow? So again, these are significant decisions that we make. We make them with a sober head, and we try to do the best we can.
The Minister of Health also stressed that back in 2020, when the border closed, scientists and heads of nations were still trying to figure out the effects of the coronavirus, and the global death toll was at an all-time high, with hundreds of thousands of people dying every day. It seemed and has turned out that the best logical decision was to close the borders at that time. Now, at a time when much more is being studied and known of the virus, other measures can be implemented to avoid the drastic closure of borders.
Don't touch that remote. We'll be right back. Coming up next is your weather forecast and sports authority. Sister Craft Market Souvenir Shop. Come and visit us for your travel keepsakes, keychains, artwork, t-shirts, clothing, jewelry, and many more. We're located at the Lower Bight gas station in Providenciales, and you can contact us at 649-341-3070. That's 649-341-3070. Sister Craft Market and Souvenir Shop.
This is a reminder that all PTV service accounts are due on the first day of each month. Accounts should be brought up to date by the 28th of the month to avoid disruption in service. Payments may be made on our office at Stubbs Diamond Plaza, Providenciales, Mides Plaza, North Caicos, and Airport Road in South Caicos. Payments may also be made online using Scotiabank, CIBC First Caribbean Bank, and Royal Bank of Canada. Please allow 3 business days for online payments to be processed. We thank you for your cooperation.
The return of the Interscholastic Softball League and Championship has been postponed and is due to resume on February 17, 2022, in an effort to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, according to a recent press release. Over the course of 3 days, high schools from across the country will be competing for the title at the downtown ballpark. Currently, British West Indies Collegiate is at the top spot, so they'll be the ones to watch in the lead up to the final. To further mitigate the spread of COVID-19, it was also announced that the games will not be hosting in-person fans. However, they will be streamed via Facebook, and players will have to adhere to government-enforced guidelines. Here is the 3-day game schedule. Thursday, 17th of February at 12 p.m., Clement Howell High versus Wesley Methodist High. At 2:05 p.m., Raymond Gardner High versus Margie Baston High. At 4:05 p.m., H.J. Robinson High versus British West Indies Collegiate. At 7 p.m., Wesley Methodist versus Raymond Gardner High. Then on Friday, the 18th of February, at 10 a.m., Clement Howell High versus H.J. Robinson High. At 12 p.m., British West Indies Collegiate versus Raymond Gardner High. At 3 p.m., Clement Howell High versus Margie Baston High. At 5:30 p.m., H.J. Robinson High versus Raymond Gardner High. It all culminates on Saturday, the 19th of February at 10 a.m., Game 1, first place versus fourth place. At 12 p.m., Game 2, second place versus third place. Then at 7 p.m., the winner will be decided in the championship game. We'll bring you all of the results as they occur. Reporting for your Sports Authority, I'm Alik Harvey.
Here's your weather forecast for January 26, 2022. For the nation's capital, Grand Turk, on Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high 80, low 74, winds east at 5 to 10 miles per hour. For South Caicos on Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high 80, low 74, winds east at 5 to 10 miles per hour. For North and Middle Caicos on Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high 81, low 73, winds east-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. For Parrot and Pine Key on Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high 80, low 73, winds east-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And on Providenciales on Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high 80, low 73, winds east-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Now for your sunrise and sunset. Sunrise 6:31 a.m., sunset 5:30 p.m., and for your high tides and low tides 1:27 a.m., 1:47 p.m., and low tides 7:53 a.m., 7:54 p.m. And that's it for your weather forecast. We'll be right back with more News Watch.
Here at People's Television, we're more than just your leading news and entertainment services. We are
spreading the gospel.
We are breaking barriers.
We are preserving the culture. Each one, teach one.
We are committed to excellence.
We're creating change.
We are creating memories.
We are the future.
I am PTV.
I am PTV. I am PTV.
I am PTV.
We are PTV.
We are continuing the legacy. We are PTV.
Welcome back to News Watch. Elected Representative for Wheeland, Honorable Kyle Knowles, says that he's committed to resolving the long-standing issue at the dump. Details in this report.
It is a long-standing issue, one that no one has been able to resolve to the satisfaction of residents. But the Honorable Kyle Knowles says he is on the job after a flare-up at the dump site over the weekend. In a statement issued on his party's Facebook page, Knowles says that as a resident of the Wheeland community, he and his family have experienced the long-standing foul smell of the dump site, and as such, he is now committed, as the elected representative for that community, to do something about it. According to the representative, he reached out to the Minister of Health to accompany him to examine the dump so as to determine what the source of the current problem may be. Pictured in the statement he released, Knowles is seen standing amid the garbage. He says he is committed to resolving the issue and ensuring clean air for all. However, how to achieve this and resolve the issue that many elected officials and governments before him have still not accomplished was not explained. He referenced the work of the Solid Waste Management Study that's been funded by the Caribbean Development Bank, noting that as chair of the task force set up to oversee the study, he will be in a better position to provide more details in the coming weeks. That project, though, has been stalled for quite some time. In 2020, the CDB reported that a lack of adequate human resources and technical expertise within the Turks and Caicos Islands has stalled the completion of two critically needed projects that the bank is funding. The project referenced by Knowles is a US $672,500 solid waste management systems project funded by the CDB, and to date it has not gotten far. The second stalled project is the Coastal Protection and Management Technical Assistance, which was approved by the CDB in 2017 along with the other one. This project is aimed at enhancing the territory's capacity to protect and manage the island's coastlines using climate-resilient approaches. For PTV News Watch, I'm Delana Als.
That brings us to the end of this edition of The Real News. I hate to leave you so soon, but of course, you can join us right back here every weekday at 6:30 p.m. and tap into our social media platforms at www.ptv8tci.com. I'm Erica Penales, keeping you informed, updated, and affiliated until next time.